Woo.
Welcome to Night Talks, the University of Florida's College of Journalism Communication talk show produced by students for you. I'm Andrea Fonseca, a third-year student studying journalism, and our guest today is Kristina Fitzpatrick, an experienced broadcast journalist who's worked for the New England Patriots, Fox Sports, MLB Network, and CNN. Most recently, she covered sports and trending topic on HLN's Morning Express with Robin Meade. Hi, Kristina. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
To start us off, what initially drew you to study broadcasting and journalism?
Well, I grew up in South Florida and have been a Gator fan my entire life. And I've also been a dancer. I danced competitively and had a lot of adrenaline and competition in my life at an early age, And as I got older and knew I wanted to go to University of Florida and wanted to pursue a degree here, when I found out that I could continue an opportunity in entertainment and kind of the realm of what I was used to, the lights, the camera, the action, I'm like, where do I find that? And it led me here. And my worlds kind of collided with being a sports fan, being a dancer. I was able to become a dazzler here at the university and dance and work under the UAA and then pursue journalism and specifically sports broadcasting. So my worlds collided and it all really worked out at a fantastic program here at the school.
As a proud Gator alum and former Gator Zone reporter, how did your time here at UF shape your career in sports broadcasting? Are there any specific experiences or moments that continue to influence your work today?
I think the most important thing was I used all aspects of this school and this college to help me get real world experience, which not a lot of schools have that. This one has a spectacular program, as you know, you're involved in it right now, so I don't have to tell you, but I did use that to my advantage and really focus on getting experience I could use in the real world, which led me to create a demo reel and then ultimately get a job in the field. And more important than anything, the networking that I was allowed to do. I still talk to people here at the school, at the university, that still work here or come in and out. That's why I'm here this week, is because I'm gonna be a part of some cool things with the alumni associated with the school. But the networking web of being a Gator is absolutely incredible. It's led me all the way through my career. It's helped me. I've had mentors. I've had a boss that was a Gator that I may or may not have gotten the job because I was one. So really, there's so many special things that come from being a Gator, being at this school, getting the skill sets. And then my whole family is Gators, my dad, my sister. So we just love being a part of this school, and it's still with me to this day.
And I wanted to ask you, do you have a favorite segment or show that you covered while you were here at UF?
I was on Gator Zone. I was doing an independent study with everyone over at that program, and Dennis Black specifically, who's still here. I went to him and said, I want to really take this seriously, and I want to do a study under you. And he said, well, I'm gonna put you to work. And I guess I was a junior at the time, was doing student athlete profiles and sit downs with coaches that just, have been here for years and have such long history with the school. And specifically, I think when I was doing the student athlete profiles, it led me to the human interest aspect of sports and telling those stories and what they did in college, where they were going, and just who they were. And it was really cool. It allowed me to get into that aspect of storytelling in sports that I was able to do professionally from there. So it was amazing to be a part of that. And like I said, it is what my demo reel was made of. Without that stuff, I would not have had a reel. And in order to be on camera, you have to have some sort of reel. I mean, even to this day, there's got to be some kind of evidence that, you have the skill set to do the work.
No, of course. And it's so wonderful that you found your passion in that narrative storytelling and kind of created your demo reel from it. Mm-hmm. Then in 2007, you worked for Craft Sport Productions, the in-house production company for the New England Patriots. What type of content did you produce and how did you get this opportunity?
It was a really interesting situation. I was a senior. I had probably sent out 20 VHS tapes. Yeah, that's how far we're going back. I had a newsreel and a sports reel. And I kind of was just throwing it up and like, whatever I can get, I'm going. And I also had an online link to my demo reel on a website I had a friend create it. He said, look, this is gonna be your landing page. This is gonna help you out. I'm like, no, VHS is where it's at. But someone from TV Jobs that I was on saw my post and actually contacted me with his personal email. And he said, I work with a professional sports team in New England. We'd like to bring you up to audition. I'm not gonna tell you specifically who it is, but if you're willing, we'll get you up here. So I literally called my dad. I'm like, Dad, is this legit? Like, what do I do? He's like, you gotta go, you gotta check it out. I'm like, fly up there? I don't even know this man. And somehow my boss, who ended up being my boss, figured out a way to make it legit. He called me, he said, look, I promise you, we got you. He sent me some credentials. And anyway, I took the leap of faith. I let them fly me up there, and it ended up being the New England Patriots. I remember pulling up to Gillette Stadium like, oh, this is gonna be a big deal. I didn't know what sport it was gonna be. So anyway, another tip, know every single sport coming out of school. Know them all.
Absolutely noted.
And yes, exactly. Know them all and make sure you can get through an audition or an interview no matter what the sport.
Yes.
So it was obviously professional football, NFL. And they put me through the ringer that day. They put me on camera, made me do all kinds of tests. Anyway, what they were doing was launching an internet show, first of its kind, all things Patriots every single day. It was called Patriots Today. They needed a host. And the biggest thing they wanted was someone who was not a Patriots fan, believe it or not. And I was like, I'm a Dolphins fan, so choose me. So that's how I got it. That had a lot to do with it. The fact that I was not an actual New Englander or a fan. They wanted somebody outside the realm of the fanatic, if you will, and someone professional with a good resume. And I had all those things. And from there, I had a really big role. I wrote my own scripts. I worked with a small crew in the studio. We shot every single day. We were out at practice. I was in every single one of Bill Belichick's press conferences, which you can imagine is very like a pressure cooker sometimes. Yes. We had exclusive access to the Super Bowl the first year I was there. So it was an unbelievable opportunity that I didn't even know I was getting into until I actually was in it. And moving to New England was a whole nother, do I really want to do this? I'm from South Florida. You're from Miami. Could you imagine?
No,
have you been to Boston?
I've been once, and I can't even imagine that 360 shoot.
Yes, it was insane, but I made it work, and it was probably one of the best decisions I ever made in life and in my career.
In 2010, you began working as a co-host and social media reporter on Fox Sports SEC Gridiron Live. What did that role consist of, and how often were you also in the sideline reporting?
So Gridiron Live was Fox Sports South was a regional that's still there, but it's changed some hands. It's now Bally turned FanDuel, I believe. But when it was Fox Sports South, they launched a first of its kind interactivity show, which is kind of mainstream now. But back then when social media was first coming on the scene, we were one of the first live shows to bring Facebook and Twitter. I don't even think Instagram was around yet. But comments from SEC fans, I was pulling in real time off of Facebook, off of Twitter at the time, and bringing them into our conversation on air. And back in 2010, that was not really being done.
Yeah.
So we got an Emmy for interactivity that year. And it really kind of launched all of us, I think, into how important social media was in live television and in sports in general. So we had a blast. I was on with Kevin Carter, who was he's a Gator, Randy Cross, Tim Couch, a bunch of SEC guys, and we had a blast. It was an hour-long live show, and then from there we would go do the SEC package that Fox Sports South had at the time for college football. I was the sideline reporter for those, and we did about 6 or 7 games, I think, in the season. It was before SEC Network launched. But yeah, so we'd kind of do our show and then pack up our things and head to campus and cover everything from beginning to end of the game broadcast.
On that same note, I know a lot of students today are kind of shifting onto that multi-platform content. I was like, I don't know if you have any tips and recommendation, if you were already pulling from Instagram and Twitter, how vital being multi-dimensional and multi-platform for students is today.
I think the more comfortable, the earlier you get comfortable with social media and posting and creating content, the more success you will have. And that's coming from a traditional journalism background where I've struggled as my career has gone on to figure out the best way for me to do it. Gone are the days where you're just a talking head and you read lines and you stick to the script. Now you're expected to have a personality. You're expected to have an opinion. That's new to me, but I've also embraced it later in my career. And I think it's absolutely vital that anybody going into the business is able to showcase what they're able to do on a social media platform perspective. Even the football players have brands. There's NIL and all that, but they have brands. They have things that they're presenting, things that they stand for. So as anybody in the limelight of journalism and communications and broadcasting, I think it's important to put your skill set out there and get comfortable posting and putting yourself out there on all different levels of social media.
And then I think it's also a level of familiarity with the audience. They get to know you and they trust you.
Absolutely. Yes, that is very true. They get to, they're like, oh, I feel like I know you because you're on Instagram. But that's hard to do if you don't start early and get comfortable doing it. You know what I mean? Yes. Away from the cameras and the lights, it's you and your phone. Yeah. And I have a hard time doing it to this day. So working on that. But you guys got to get all over it.
I know you spoke a lot about unscripted dialogue and maintaining the balance between impartiality and chasing the heart of a story. How does your audience factor into that?
It definitely depends on the show that you're on or kind of the platform you're on and the format, if you will. If you're a newsreader and you're sticking to the script and headlines, that's kind of one category. But the most recent job that I've had a lot of non-scripted dialogue because we were talking about everyday things, whether it was a sports topic or a trending topic. And I think that is another skill set that also you will develop over your career is being comfortable just talking like we are. I've had directors in the past tell me to ignore cameras, don't even look at it, don't know where it is at any given time. MLB Network told me that a lot. We're in this studio, don't look at the camera. Yeah. You don't have to know where it is. There's no prompter. They turned them all off. I was like, okay, I'm gonna get either good at this or real bad at this real quick. I had a director one time tell me be a squirrel. And that has stuck with me to this day. It's very crazy. He was crazy. He was amazing. But he said, you gotta lose the stiffness. You gotta relax. You gotta be yourself. And once I was able to do that, it was easier for me to dive into stories that I genuinely had a passion or a feeling for, and I could go a little bit further. And I think the impartiality, if you are in a position where you're being asked to say your side of something, as long as you are steadfast and confident in what you're talking about, you'll do just fine.
I'm still learning to navigate that myself. Yeah. So becoming a squirrel, we'll implement that.
Be a squirrel.
Yes, I was like.
You're gonna see squirrels everywhere now. And you're gonna think of being a squirrel.
Yes, and I will think of this interview.
Yes.
What's your process for finding and telling compelling stories? You just mentioned how narratives are some of your favorite, especially when working with athletes or high profile subjects who may be difficult to open up.
Mm-hmm. I think it goes back to that when you are relaxed and being yourself in an interview, no matter the subject matter, it'll help the person you're interviewing relax a little bit and loosen up and make everything conversational. Like I said, forget there's cameras in the room. Just talk to the person. Ask good questions, not yes or no, but ask things where they can kind of dive in. I used to do a lot of one-on-one interviews with some of the Patriots players, and they'd come in, and some of them were like, oh, this guy's not cracking. So maybe I'd go off topic. What's your, so did you see the highlights from, whatever? And you'd be amazed at how they loosen up and you kind of trigger something where they're gonna be opening up to you and feel a little bit more comfortable. So that's kind of one tip, just kind of find where the person's at, be conversational and try to loosen up and just, talk free-handedly and make sure you're knowledgeable about this situation and you have a passion to want to talk about it. Does that make sense?
100%, forming that connection.
Yeah.
And then to move into the next question, I wanted to ask, you then reported for the Washington Nationals. Is there much difference covering baseball versus football?
It is night and day. It is. I had a mentor that I was doing football with. He's still in the air to this day, Bob Rathman. He's the voice of the Hawks. He called me when I got the MLB job and he said, do you know what you're getting into? I'm like, yeah, I'm excited. He's like, no, it's baseball. There's 162 games. You have to learn the cadence of baseball. It is a lifestyle. It is not football. You're not talking about one game a week, rah, offense, defense. What's the feel-good story? Baseball is every day. And that season with the Nationals, I think I only missed 2 series. So I did 100 and, I don't know, call it 70-something games. It was a lot of baseball. But what he taught me was on the days where I was struggling, I don't know what the story of the day is. I got to go in this clubhouse again. I got to figure out what I'm going to talk about. I remembered the cadence. Like, just go back. What is the cadence of this sport? These guys are in here grinding it. So, what can I find? What can I do to bring that to light? And it helped me get really good at it because I followed it the right way. And baseball is a beast. It's different. It is different when you're with a team. I traveled with the team. I was on the charter. I was 10-day road trips. No days off. Like, it is a complete lifestyle. But it's amazing if you like baseball. It's awesome. But absolutely completely different from football.
Do you have any personal stories while you were there with the team or just traveling with them?
With the Nationals?
Yes.
Oh gosh, I have a lot of stories. Were you the one that sent me the question about the Gatorade?
Yes.
Okay, we'll take the Gatorade. We'll segue into the Gatorade. For some reason, they started not necessarily getting it just on the players. I don't know what was happening. Maybe I was standing a little too close, but it became a thing that year. And I think you said, was it a work hazard or?
Was it a work hazard or like a game day victory?
Yeah, definitely game day victory. I'm all for the Gatorade. But I had to leave, you leave a game, you run right out to security and you get on the team bus and you get on the plane.
Yeah.
Like, I don't get to go to the locker room and change or shower. I sit there sticky in Gatorade for the whole flight. And I'm just like, I cannot believe, once again. So it was kind of funny, but at the same time, that was one of the things, you see the pictures online, it just became like a joke, I think, how bad can we just dump this Gatorade all over her? But I took it in stride. I learned to jump out of the way. I eventually figured that out after we ruined a couple mic packs, and the cameramen hated it the most. The audio guys were like, not again. So that was fun, though. We had a good run, and they had a really good playoff run that year. They made it to the postseason for the first time in a while. They had some spectacular players. Bryce Harper was called up that year. Steven Strasburg was on the roster. So it was an amazing year to watch unbelievable talent in Major League Baseball. Bryce Harper's still in the game, and you're still watching him go strong. So it was a really fun year that I was there.
Certainly once in a lifetime experience.
Yes, it was. It felt like 10 lifetimes, but yes.
In 2013, you went on to work for the MLB Network as a host and reporter. What programs were you a part of?
So that year they launched a new show. This was kind of my trend. New shows, I just kind of, followed. They launched a show called MLB Now with Harold Reynolds and Brian Kenny, who are still on the network. The show still exists, but a totally different format. But when they launched it, it was an old school versus new school style, and I was in the middle. Lucky me, right? So I had to learn more new stuff about baseball coming from, being with a team and knowing the old school stuff and the ins and outs and the unwritten rules and, all that kind of stuff, to the sabermetric side, because all the stats and sabermetrics were being discussed and the new things being implemented that you're seeing in MLB right now. So they were going at it about these two things. Great show. It went by like this because I was like, there was a lot of content. We'd go inside the ballpark live and see what was going on and come back out and talk about it. So those studios are incredible. The technology was incredible. The show was great. It changed formats after that first year. And then I went on the road for postseason baseball again and got to go cover new teams and see postseason baseball on that level, which was fantastic. And then my second year there, I did a show with Mad Dog Chris Russo. I don't know if you guys, he's a big personality on radio, Sirius XM. A lot of people know him up in the New York area. He has the show called High Heat that actually just ended. It's been on since I was there in, what was that, 2015 or 13? Anyway, it just had a really long run. And again, fiery personality, learned how to interject, learned how to keep my stance, learned how to talk off script and, off cuff with Mad Dog, who was great. And it was a great learning opportunity and so much fun to be a part of it.
I was like, I know something that our students and audience will really take away from your career is just your ability to adapt day to day, everyday changing, and something that I'm pretty personally inspired by.
Yes. I think that was one of the things that, a lot of people will say you need to stick with something and be there for a long time, earn your stripes, but I took the approach of every time there was a new opportunity, I jumped at it, and if I got it, I was going for it, and it worked out. I got a lot of skill sets because of it, and I worked with so many phenomenal people who taught me all aspects of television. Like going back to the Patriots, the way they did things from a production standpoint, we had one guy who was like, that is not good enough. It's shot funny. The coloring's off. The audio's terrible. And they were sticklers, but it taught me like you do everything right from the beginning and put out a good quality, and it'll just make it that much more pleasing for your audience.
Now you know what to do from the get-go.
Yeah, right? I'm in here being picky about mics. No, just kidding.
You returned to Fox Sports in 2015 as a host reporter for the Atlanta Braves. What inspired this move?
I was coming from New York, and I got married. Life kicked in. I'd already done a little time in Atlanta with the football show, and I was ready to go back south. And I had my first child in 2016. So I was working for the Braves, which was great because going back to networking, I knew everybody there from the football show. And although I left and said, bye, I'm going to the Nationals in Masson, they said the door's open when you come back. And sure enough, no burn bridges, kept in touch with everybody, saw them on the road when we would play the Braves. So it was a great opportunity. I said, guys, I'm coming back to Atlanta. What do you have for me? We have the sideline for free. We have the sideline gig if you want it. I'm like, absolutely, let's go. They were a little different. They had a rotation, so there was 3 or 4 of us doing it versus just one with the Nationals. So anyway, rotation, I jumped right back into baseball. I think regional baseball is amazing because you have the ability of being with one team and really getting to know that team versus MLB, you're covering them all. Yeah. You're all over the place. But doing the Nationals and then going covering the Braves, if you're with one team in a regional setting, I think that's a really good spot to be in. And it was great. I jumped back in and did a couple seasons, but like I said, life kicked in, got married, have 3 children now, but I was in Atlanta and I was working and I was loving it. So, and we're Braves fans now. We're raising our kids to be Braves fans, and it's been great.
In 2018, you then began on air with Warner Media. Tell us a little bit about working on Morning Express with Robin Meade.
Robin was exceptional. She actually was someone I looked up to growing up. I had got her book when it came out when I was a young journalist. I think I was still in school, and I read her Morning Sunshine book. So I always looked up to Robin. So the opportunity to work alongside her was absolutely amazing. Kind of like, one of those things like, wow, this is crazy that I'm sitting here talking to her and we're working hand in hand. But the show was special because it covered all aspects of news, sports, lifestyle. It moved quickly, and not only were we reading headlines, but we were being able to engage in full discussion about great topics that, were trending or things that I love talking about. So it was a really, really cool opportunity to do a lot of different things, work with a lot of fun people on a set where when you're up early in the morning, you would really think nobody's happy, but everybody was happy. Everybody was having a good time. And it really was like TV magic. Everybody who worked on the show called it that because that's truly what it was. And they gave me an opportunity. Since then, the plug was pulled 2 years ago. But they gave me at the end the opportunity to kind of create my own beat, where I was doing the trending topics and finding stories that meant a lot to me. Really digging deep and saying, what do I want to be talking about right now? Is it an athlete who's raising money? Is it a new workout thing that everybody's leaning on? Is it safe? Is it not? These kind of things that are just in our everyday world. I was going after them, pitching them, and they liked them, and then we would go hard and produce it and get it to air. And it was really fun to be creative again and work in that aspect. And I hope going forward, I'll be able to build off of that and do more of that storytelling as I move forward.
I know how vital it is to have that newsroom family and just like that energy all together and then finding your niche in that space.
Yeah, it's important. I think that's definitely something important. Excuse me, when you find it and you're able to work on a show, any show of any matter, when you have people who enjoy being around each other, it shows on air. It shows through the camera.
100%.
Yeah.
In covering trending topics, these viral stories, how do you determine what's worth covering? How did you approach breaking down sometimes chaotic stories for your audience?
They were amazing with letting me pitch just about anything. And my job clearly has been about taking risks and just jumping and going for it. So like I said, when you're passionate about something and you really want to get that story to air, all I had to do was pitch it. If I found the right, stuff to back it up, articles, information, and then if they liked it, they'd let me roll with it, there's no better feeling when you've worked for so long and you are in this new realm and you just want to get what you want to say on air and they're allowing you to do it. It's a cool feeling. It's great. And they really worked with me and they liked my story ideas. So we did some interesting topics, some silly, some fun, some trending, some a little bit deeper. It was a good mix, but it kept me storytelling in a really innovative way. And I discovered that about myself, that I really enjoy doing it. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna try to go do more of this.
What impact does dance play in your life? How did you find that the elements of either movement, rhythm, and performance translate, and how you're able to connect with your audiences?
Well, dancing is storytelling just physically, right? We told stories in our movement, in our presentation. It was just as much about the body and the dance moves as it was my face and what I was projecting with my face and showing that I was enjoying what I was doing. And there's an aspect of television where that comes into play, where you absolutely know when somebody telling a story is enjoying it, is wanting to tell it, and is passionate about what they're talking about. And you know when somebody could care less what they're talking about, right? It goes without saying, you can see it. And to me, that's what good television is when somebody's genuinely being themselves and telling a story that they absolutely cannot say fast enough. They just have to get this out there. And that's kind of where dance kind of goes hand in hand. Never mind the makeup and the hair and all the things that go with, the camera and the lights. But yeah, that's a part of it, just storytelling in general and presenting it in a good way that your audience enjoys it.
What advice would you share with those looking to work in sports broadcasting and sports media?
Leaps of faith. Put yourself out there. Move to Boston from Miami. Move to Iowa. Take the job. Get yourself in the business and learn every single day you're on the job. When I got to New England, I said, what else can I do here? I've done a season of football. I said, we have a Major League Soccer team. I said, let's go. So I was doing soccer. What else? I started covering, I started doing Big East basketball because it was up the street, and I was just trying to pack on my plate. If I'm gonna be here, I'm gonna be doing this. Teach me, let me learn. And if you have that perspective, you'll have so many skill sets, you won't even know what to do with them all. And you'll have more options as you grow into your career and what you're looking to do and what feels right. And then you can, be choosy about the gig, right? But take the job, get out there, and first and foremost, use every aspect of this college you absolutely possibly can. Ask to do things, work for free, and smile when you talk.
Thank you, Kristina, for your incredible insight. I will be taking all of your advice to heart, especially taking that leap of faith and pursuing new opportunities.
Yes, do it.
And thank you to our viewers for joining us. Until next time, good night. Kristina, would you like to chomp with me?
Absolutely.